Hi.
Here we are.
I'm Frank Gallagher today.
She is not. She is not. There's a similarity, but she is not. So
all my shameless fans will get the reference.
It's
I feel
okay.
like Frank Gallagher today, but it's very chilly in my house. So
It's okay. So what we're going to talk about today is kind of a funny little thing. It's living with our husbands, but not living with our husbands in general. It's living with husbands as a Wiccan, a person who practices witchcraft, earth-based spirituality, and our husbands are, what do you say, mid-level involved, or
blue collar normal.
Blue collar normal, definitely. You know, your country guy. Danny is my guy. Is your typical farm guy, country guy, mechanic. You know, he's just mainstream Carroll County. You know,
Yeah. My husband's used to be ginger. He's sort of got a little gray now, but he's got that ginger spice attitude, and he's in commercial HVAC, so he has like a very normal, just day-to-day functionality.
But and in every sense of the word, these two are like they are really absolutely amazing men, because they support us while they also make fun sometimes, and they don't completely understand. They do participate sometimes, which is cool. So, and we just have a feeling that there's a lot of other women that are probably into earth-based spirituality and paganism and witchcraft, and maybe you're married to Mr. Blue Collar guy as well, and how we deal with that, and how we incorporate them into things that we do. So,
and also how they accept us. I mean,
yes,
that's
exactly.
I've known my husband since kindergarten. We've been together since my senior year of college, or since I was 21. So we've known each other our whole lives. Donna, you've known yours a long time, over 30 years, right?
We have been together, yes, for a little over 30 years,
Yeah.
So, and it's now, so our situation is a tiny bit different than yours, only because I was already, I lived by myself out in the middle of nowhere with my animals and my garden and stuff, and I was already practicing witchcraft, and I had belonged to a coven at that point when Danny and I met. So he's kind of been used to this right from the start. Now, with that said, through the years, I've tried to kind of, I guess, he wanted to go to church. He wanted to go to church at one point. He had, we both had church as children. So my experiences in church were very good. It was not a pushy church. The whole punishment thing was not pushed on us. It was a little Gothic church. I loved it. Every kid in the neighborhood went, and we all walked together. None of our parents came. Our parents came.
That's so funny.
No, none of our parents came.
You know, my mom and my aunt went to church together alone. That's just coming back to me. And
no, they did come when all of our parents came, when we had like little programs and things like,
they would come to the plays and stuff, but like, I don't remember. It's just, I don't remember the whole story, but that's funny because my grandparents didn't go.
Yeah, but
my mom's parents, my American grandparents, were very religious.
Same thing. That was it, like a farming community, but they were in Europe too.
No, they would have been.
Or in the UK. I'm sorry, they would have been
in America.
My
mom is English, so
okay. So they weren't in the UK then.
No, they would have been in America for that.
Okay, I was just thinking that because that makes a lot of sense if it was when they were little and going and.
I don't remember the timeline. They bounced back and forth between England and America quite a bit, and I don't know when the church made its way into their journey. So,
well, oddly enough, for Danny and I had great experiences in church. Like I said, I feel like there was a pagan aspect to it, just because, and a lot of the women that taught in our church were women from the community whose her husbands were farmers. So we all had a very close relationship to the earth, and I think that probably has something to do with it. Now, Dan, on the other hand, did not have the greatest experience in church. They didn't go a whole lot, but they did get involved in one, and their experience was not great. Oddly enough, as adults here, I had drifted away a little bit from any kind of spirituality for a little while, and it was just because of some things that were happening in my life that I was just struggling with things. And so at that point, he wanted to go to church. He wanted to try church. Really good friends of ours were involved in a church, and I went with him. And so I went with him fully knowing that I did not agree with everything, with the pastor also knowing that I was not fully invested in what he was saying. Him and I actually went, he's since passed, but him and I went head to head on a lot of things because I did not agree with things. So I finally just kind of kept my mouth shut a little bit, just to keep the peace there between him and our friends, because we were all, like I said, our friends kind of led us there. The pastor was a friend of theirs, and it just worked. So we knew which ways to do things. Yeah. But so Danny actually has then that actually turned into a really, really bad experience through that church. And so actually more these days he embraces more of what I do and more of earth-based spirituality. Every once in a while he says he might like to find a church to try. He also knows that I will not go back at this point. I'm just not going to do it. If so he wants to do it, he's going to need to do it by himself. And
that's okay.
Yes, and that's
neither
totally
of us
okay.
would stop. Our partners have not stopped us. So
no, and not in any way. No.
We would not stop them from doing what they want to do.
No, and I think both of them are they're interested in what we do. Sure. I know Danny's interested in what I do, and he does participate sometimes. He has participated in a release ritual. Lately, he's really asking me to do his cards and things. So not that that's actually, it is, for me, it is a spiritual practice because I'm intuitive, so it is, but he has recently, for years, I didn't read any cards for him or do anything intuitive for him.
Chris won't let me do it anymore. Because every time we read...
He doesn't understand the cards.
No, well, every time we read the cards, he pulls this... He's like, I don't feel the need to do this anymore because every time we do this, I just get the same card anyway. And he's not wrong. He pulls the dude that's laying on his stomach with like 8 to 10 swords in his back every single time. And he's like, I don't like this card.
He's got to understand what it really means. And the same card's going to keep surfacing as well because until he deals with shit. Yes, exactly.
Your cards are like, here's your bullshit. And your cards are
and he's going to watch this.
He will.
And he better hit like on this, even though we're talking some smack. Okay.
He usually does.
We love you, Chris. It's okay.
I think you're all right.
Yeah, I do too. I think you're all right too.
So my husband and I, when we got together, we were agnostic at that point. I was raised in a home without religion and with Lutheran influences through my extended family. But Chris and I were not religious, and I've always felt this connection and draw to nature and the whole cycles and our connection there. My parents are both horticulturists, so they've dedicated their whole lives to plants. So there was a lot of maybe influence coming in an avenue that I didn't really understand, and I don't think they totally understand. So anyway, fast forward all these years, and I've just been slowly growing and understanding myself better. Especially in recent years have I started to really formalize my practice. But I mean, we've always had a vegetable garden. We've had chickens for over 10 years. We've been practicing without even really realizing
Which
what
is
we
funny.
would do.
Well, and it's funny because he still does. He helps you with all that and enjoys it. And that's something. That's when you have a relationship with the earth and production of food and growing things. That is something.
Yeah, and anytime I come up with some idea, like the other day we were tossing around the idea of raising quail. He doesn't shut me down. He will for the most, unless it was baby goats today. I'm watching you, Chris, because we are circling back to goats.
We both tried to talk you into the goats, but no.
We're circling back to goats. But for the most part, I mean, he doesn't shut me down. He listens to what I have to say, and a lot of times he encourages it or makes it possible.
Yes.
He does
he's even offered us, his advice on some of the things, the technical things that we're doing with this. So he's supportive in his own way. Yes. So, I mean, some of the ways that you can actually, I think, if you have this typical husband, I think
they offer us the analytical side too.
Yes,
the logical side.
Yes, because men do think more analytical than women.
And Donna and I are very dreamy. We get carried away and dream, and then we have two husbands that just keep us tethered in.
So not only do we ground outside, our husbands actually ground us. For sure. Sometimes, but it's okay. So we do have, I think we have agreeable husbands, and I know, like I said, Danny's interested in things, and some of the ways that you can actually incorporate or try to incorporate, explain in bits and pieces. That I think Danny originally got pretty overwhelmed. Now it's been 30 years, so I've kind of, eased him into things over the years, and things have changed, and he does listen and he does educate himself on it. As far as I educate him on it. Let's just put it that way.
Chris listens.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
He'll ask questions and he listens.
But you can also, have them participate in small rituals and things. Things that, like when you were talking in our last video about around the Sabbaths, doing certain meals and things, you can kind of throw out information in those things and let them know that this is a ritualistic dinner. You can tell them what you're actually, start with the holidays, the Sabbaths, and kind of give them information on that and what you're celebrating, what you're acknowledging at that Sabbath. And I think that starts to kind of plant the seed and kind of, at the very least, let them understand a little bit more that you're not just, and while there are people, witchcraft and, not paganism per se, but I think that witchcraft has become lately a little bit of a trendy thing.
Which I will say I don't hate, because I feel like you don't want to ever not yuck somebody's yum.
No.
But I love that people are feeling open to exploring it.
Right.
That's wonderful.
I think too there's a difference between trendy and between learning it and doing it. So I think that there are some people that are truly getting into it now because of certain things, and that's great. But I think that there's also people that are going to drop off.
Trendy,
right?
That shouldn't be your motive to get into.
No, that should
should be because it speaks to you.
Yes, and and those people, if they're doing it because it's trendy, they're gonna drop off anyway. It's not gonna last, because this is something that becomes ingrained in you. It's in your soul. It's already in your soul. It's already planted in there. It's just when you realize it and when you start to embrace it. So,
I will say Chris does a lot of, when I do the release. I do a lot of times the burning release rituals during the full moon or the new moon, because I think they're good on either of those. They're really kind of great anytime, or if there's something really shitty going on and you feel like you need to just let it go, they're a good time. But Chris will oftentimes participate in a release ritual with me, where we write down. We don't even share them with each other, because I feel like that he's going to be more willing to do it if he doesn't necessarily have to tell me all of it.
Right.
So he will write down the things that are dragging him down. Not that we don't share everything. That's not what I mean. But, he needs some level of privacy too. So he'll write down all of his grievances. I'm sure I'm number 2, number 6, Justin's blue hair all over the place. I don't know. But then we do that and we burn it and release it, rinse it, and return it to you. So he does that with me.
Too, you guys do a lot of things with the kids. So I don't, I have grandbabies and stuff, but you have, your kids here, and I think probably incorporating that, having the kids, and you guys doing things as a family is probably really helpful as well.
We do a lot of the outdoor stuff together during the really nice 6 to 8 months a year.
But
gardening and things like that.
Right, and I know, you've done things when you closed cotton and stuff. You guys, had your ceremony there, and that's. I hope you don't care that I threw that out there.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
No.
So I think that there was a lot of significance in there for not only just for you, but for the kids and for Chris probably. Yeah. I think it was definitely a ritual that he probably really felt.
Yes, when we've had big life moments, we've as a family done some rituals together as a.
Yes.
It feels not a closing point, but it feels like you've connected all together.
It's both. I think it's both. I think for me, rituals are a closing point and a beginning.
Yeah,
they just, and it's all part of that circle of paganism and earth-based. Everything is basically a circle, and all circles back. So.
Well, after Hazel's shenanigans yesterday, my daughter conned the school nurse into getting her sent home from school yesterday. So we had a lot of discussions about that. So after her buttered toast for dinner, put it upstairs for bed, whatever. She's like, Mommy, I did something though. And I was like, and I go over, and she got all of her own cards out and made a crystal circle in the middle of the room. And it was just, and I was like, oh! And Chris is like, I see what you're doing to Mommy. You're manipulating Mommy.
Well, yes, but
I was like,
in such a great way.
I was like, but look at her crystal circle. I forgive her immediately.
Let's acknowledge that for a minute, okay?
All right, you're forgiven, you little turkey.
That's right,
little
turkey turd.
Today.
And Danny will, Danny knows the things that I do. He knows that, finding things in nature are huge for me. I am constantly picking up shit in nature. Now, to me, it's not just shit, but it could be stones, it could be feathers. We're coming up on the season where I collect all of the broken robin eggs that are on the ground. He will collect those things for me. And I always tell him, you've got it so easy, because I'm happy with things that you pick up in nature, a bird's nest, feather, whatever. And when he brings me those things, that brings me so much joy. That brings me so much more joy and I love him so much more than him getting me something in the store or buying me some, big piece of jewelry or something. It's just, and then I love vintage, so he can always pull shit out of the trash. I mean, how much better does he have it,
Yeah.
So there's
always
a
paper wasp's nest. Recently,
is that the one I was just looking at? Yeah, I knew that wasn't here. Yeah, I like that.
I was like,
yeah, I like that.
Will you go get that for me? Yeah. And he was like,
yes.
What, that wasp's nest? I was like, yeah. And he's like, I don't know. And the next thing I knew, he had it and he was carrying it back to the car.
I had Danny crawl under the porch to get me bones from some unknown critter that died under there, which was probably a chipmunk or something is what I think, and maybe like a snake got it or something, I don't know, and maybe it wasn't completely dead and it just died there. But I love bones, so I've had him crawl under there to get me bones. I've had him bring me skulls. It's, you know, I've had him go into attics to get me snake skins. But he does it, and that's for me, that's him acknowledging that what I do is important, and while he may not understand all of it, he's trying, and that's a good thing. And you have to, because they're men. They are men. You have to acknowledge those things. So when they do the tiniest things that are supportive in your practice,
they're there. Good job.
On the back. Yeah, you got to pat them on the back. Yeah, so they feel good about it. So that's.
We were driving the other day, and I was like, "Oh my! There's another paper wasp nest." And he's like, "Where is it?" And I was like, "Can we go back and get it?" And he was like, "Well, sure. Show me where it is." And I was like, "Oh shit, he's actually okay." Yeah. And then we got there. He's like, "Jess, that thing is 40 feet up, 20 feet over. I cannot get that."
Yeah, but it's a paper wasp nest, and you're my husband. You can do anything, right?
But he was willing to
try to turn the car around. Yes.
Yeah, he was like, "We can go back and look," and then he was like,
"Yes." Now, we were on 15 not too long ago, heading somewhere, and I saw a dead hawk. Hawks are huge for me too, and really, they're constantly on that stretch of road. But this one must have hit either a car or hit the ground too hard, and he was gone. So, and I like to honor animals. I love when I find fur or feathers or things like that, even if it's a kill, I collect it and I honor it. So, and
I have little vials of feathers and fluff. And
you've seen my shit. What did I send you the other day? Rabbit fur.
Rabbit fur.
Yeah, rabbit fur.
That was quite pretty.
Yes, rabbit fur. And I honor this. For me, my practice is a lot about animal spirits, and I connect really well with animals, and I like to honor those. So it's huge in my practice. But I said, you know, we can't stop right now because we're on the way somewhere, but I said, let's go back, and we can go back and we're going to get that. He was like, no. And I said, why? He said, you're going to get hit. I was like, I'm not going to get hit. It's on the side of the road. Let's just do it. He's like, no. I said, okay, so you draw the line. Yes, I draw the line. I said, okay, well, I'm going back tomorrow. Well, I didn't go back tomorrow because it rained. And he's like, that's illegal. And I'm like, nobody's going to know. So I never did. So I didn't do anything illegal. So there you go. Full disclaimer.
We passed the first, I've never seen a coyote in real life.
No,
ever. Never, ever. And we passed one dead on the road last fall. And it was like, I don't know. It felt like a whole magical creature had died. I don't know. It felt
You've
very...
seen my pill, right? My coyote
No.
pill.
In your living room?
In the southwestern room.
Oh, I'll have to look at it.
Yeah.
Chris was like, you're going to make me pick that up and put it in the car. He was like, it's got a lot of flies on it. I do.
Yeah, there was a point where you don't collect them.
I actually, thank you for offering. I do have limitations.
Yes.
But still, yeah.
Yes.
We both like to honor, we both have jars of feathers and crap. And my whole...
Feathers, bones, skins, all kinds of shit.
Yeah, my whole cabinet here.
Fungus.
Every time I bring stuff into the house, Chris will be like, what is that? Yeah. And then we have a little discussion. He's like, whatever, I don't care. Yeah. The other day I lit one of those smudge bombs in here. And the whole house, I love them. They burn really crazy for 5 minutes. And then they fill the whole house and it's whatever. Grayson's upstairs. He's like, Dad, what is that smell?
Yeah, let me guess.
And then Chris goes, it's your mother. And they were like, okay. And then nobody even makes any comments anymore.
Yeah.
So I would say our families are pretty used to us.
Yeah, I think so. And Danny's really good about, he does like the whole saging and smudging process. He does love that. Incense kind of throws him for a loop, even though I do, and he always says, he knows, by the way, the house smells what kind of day I've had or what I've done because of my oils. It's whatever oils I'm diffusing. If I've saged, if I've used incense, whatever practice I'm doing. I think he even knows too, when I meditate, I use a certain one. When I read cards, I do a different one. So he can kind of tell. But incense, even though I use a natural incense, completely natural, no chemicals, nothing. It's like he'll smell it and he starts doing all this shit. So
Chris,
I just have to be careful with that.
It's okay. It's not like I have asthma.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good. So they really do try to be supportive.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can think of to incorporate these guys into things is, like I said, just the small things, small rituals, create some small rituals, include them in it, explain to them why you're doing it, and then pat them on the back. Pat them on the back a lot when you have small wins with them because it goes a long way.
Generally think they find us fairly endearing. They've been around a long time now, both of them.
Yeah.
Chris and I have been married, I don't know, 14, 15 years. But we've known each other since we were 4.
Right.
So it's not like anything
Long
that's
time.
happened in our lifetime has come
Exactly.
any amount of surprise.
Exactly. He knew you when you were a small little girl picking up sticks and leaves and things and putting them to make a concoction in a bucket.
Well, yeah,
correct?
I'm sorry. That is stuff that kids don't do anymore. How did you not mix all the crap?
Chloe does.
Does she? Oh, I love that.
Chloe does.
Kids should make more potions. That was like such a thing.
And she's always collecting things for me. Yeah, we made all kinds of things out of nature stuff. But I think a lot of kids now are inside playing games and they don't get in touch with nature, which is sad because that's the time to do it. So if you have littles, you have grandkids, whatever, get them out there, get them collecting things.
Hazel did come in with mud gloves on this week.
I love that.
Yeah, it was great once it was cleaned up.
you have to take it at the root. What it is at the root. On the surface, it's a mess, but at the root, she's connecting with nature.
It came hot on the heels of me putting the last coat of paint on all the trim in the hallway, and then she's walking down the hall.
Not the proper time. No, it's not a good
read
time.
the room, okay?
She ain't there yet, man. Hell, husbands can't read the room, so
No.
it's a daddy reads the house when he comes home by the smells, but that's it. So
I would say that, like, for the most part, the way that Chris participates and what I do is helping me, like when I get my garden going, helping me set up the sprinklers and stuff. Like, the things that don't interest me about this that are necessary stuff, like, he'll help me with the tech side of all these things.
Right.
But then that shows me he cares. Like, he's participating in my hobbies.
Well, it's really funny because only recently, and it'll be interesting to see how Chris evolves with this. You're an experiment, Chris. Recently, Danny, I was talking to him about this the other day, and I wasn't even thinking about talking about it here, but it fits. I've noticed that his intuition, after 30 years, and being around me and the things in our house and learning about these things, his intuition is becoming really sharp lately.
Oh, that's cool.
Really sharp, and I really didn't expect that to ever happen. He's a younger soul. I'm an older soul. I think that's part of the reason that we're together. I think that for a lot of people, that's why you're together. So don't overlook that either. If your husband's not into it, he may just not be there, but that also may be a part of the reason that you are together.
There's a lot to be said
You're
for
learning things
opposites
from each other.
attract, by the
Yes.
way. You'd get very bored in
Yes.
a relationship with somebody who is exactly the same as
Yes.
you.
I mean,
you have to have common. You have to be like a Venn diagram.
Yeah,
right?
I think you both have to be really, really old souls to be like totally on the same page as far as earth-based stuff. I really do. I think that can happen, but I think you have to both be really old souls. And to get there, though, you have to be a young soul. In which time you're coming into this, into this physicality and embarking on relationships that are going to teach you things.
There's a lot of belief that, like, you incarnate with the same people over and over again, so that, like, as your soul is incarnating, you're constantly learning and teaching each other, and that's why people are connected, or you have friendships that you feel like soul level friendships, or so I think the boys are definitely younger souls, but they're good ones. They're keeper souls.
No, and that's a great thing, but it makes me think that's one of the reasons we're together, is so that Danny can learn these things, and he's evolving. So, like, I feel like we have certain lifetimes where you're going to learn so much more than other lifetimes. And certain things are fast and certain things are slow. And I think this was a very slow learn for him, but I think he's connecting it, and his next life is going to be like so much bigger and better because of that. So, but don't ever feel like, because you have this spiritual belief and your husband may have a belief in, traditional God, it doesn't mean that you guys can't still be together. It doesn't mean that you can't practice one thing and he can't. It's all a matter of, it just boils down to, if you really love that person, you're going to support them and you're going to go with it. I mean, as long as, they're not doing anything that's hurting anybody else. And that's totally what earth-based religion is about, is not hurting anybody else. So it's just something that is, and you support each other through it.
Absolutely. I think Chris...
Don't force them.
No, you can't.
Never force.
No, because that's how we get into feeling resentful of spirituality and religions in the first
church.
place.
Yes.
Is because you've been forced or pushed to conform or believe, and you don't want to. So that's not going to do any good to try and sway your spouse into your ways. But it is nice when there's reciprocation of respect.
Yes.
And understanding.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what we both have with them.
Yes.
They don't completely understand everything. But they're supportive, and
I will say Chris is more resistant than Danny.
I would say that. Yes, I will say that. Yes.
We have done numerous paranormal investigations where, first of all, we have owned and operated multiple facilities or homes that have friends of the spiritual kind, and things happen and right in front of you. And we have done paranormal investigations, which are profound, like the things that will come out of
it's
those.
incredible.
It's
the things that, yes.
And Donna has been.
We've got them all documented too in video.
We've
so,
been together
yeah, they're
for
incredible.
All of them.
Yes.
And like profound stuff happens, and he's like,
he's still a naysayer. That sassy little ginger still has to negate everything.
And I'm like, I can't like push, like if he's not ready to accept that,
no,
then I have to.
No.
Sometimes I look at him and I'm like, I don't understand how you're remembering that so differently like that. But I can't push him because then it's not going to ultimately help either of us.
No.
So, you know, but he is a little more resistant than Danny, but he does partake in his own ways to show me he cares.
Yes, I think he's totally supportive.
He's very supportive,
really
even
do.
if I do think that he's still more on the agnostic side. Which fine. I mean, he and I just have a mutual respect and understanding for each other, and we do quite well.
Right.
We are very in different places, and
that's the whole reason we wanted to talk about this, because it is okay, and you don't have to have your spouse on board. You really you don't. I mean, you have to have them be supportive.
They need to respect you.
Yes,
like
respect and
needs
support.
To be there.
Like you said, I think that's the key words here. Is respect and support. And
but you never want to force anybody into this path, because it has to feel organic to you. So
yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. But
so we hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, as always, if you have any questions, you shoot them to us. If you don't feel like putting them out there publicly, you can message us. If you put them out there publicly, it's still we always say.
I mean, I put a lot of my husband's business out there publicly today. So
yeah, we did. But that's okay.
Whatever.
Well, there's our witch cackle at the end. It's terrible. I hope you guys love us, because this is just us.
Thank you for listening to us and sharing this journey with us. It's been like a big calling between us here, and it's nice to share it with the world.
Yeah, and so far this response that we've got has been great.
Very positive.
We're loving it, so we're just going to keep moving forward with it and keep sharing and keep growing and keep giving you information.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.